Coming to you from the Black Swan Media Studios, this is Fireside Chats, talking to the real difference makers in the world. Now, here is your host, John Crump.
How is everyone doing out there on a very, very nice Thursday? We are brought to you by the Patreons who support this show. You can support the Patreons. You can support us on our Patreon at patreon.com/John Crump. Just want to say all my Patreon money actually goes to my niece who has DIPG, which is a really bad form of childhood brain cancer. She's fighting it, but she needs our help. There's also a PayPal at paypal.me/JohnCC. You can do a super chat, and for $5 super chat, you can get this awesome looking patch right there. No quarter for tyrants. For $25, you can get this. All $5 Patreons get this, and all $20 Patreons get this. This is my book, and it will be signed. So either way, you can do that. I see Robert out there from Full 30. Full 30 is a really cool platform. All right. Well, you guys ready to get into this? I'm going to bring on my guest, and he is the Rogue Banshee, or that's what his company is called, Rogue Banshee, I guess. But we're going to get into that. We're going to have him introduce himself and tell us all about what he does and everything. So, how are you doing, Jason Schaller?
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on. Doing really good today for a Thursday. Looking forward to wrapping up a week.
Yeah, it's almost that time. Almost the end of the week. Got my wife's birthday party this weekend.
There you go.
A milestone age. I can't say what that is. She'll kill me. But
21.
21, exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to get into a couple of different things with you. We have a couple of the same focuses. But first, I guess everyone out there is probably going to be wondering, Rogue Banshee, where did that name come from?
So it's funny. The name actually came from two of our dogs. Banshee is actually a dog that we lost a couple of years ago. And Rogue is one of our current dogs. So we just kind of put the two names together and came up with the Rogue Banshee. So that's kind of how we came up with the name. We kept it kind of quiet for a little while, and then a few years ago we released it on the Full 30 forum of how we came up with the name.
Okay. One of the things I really want to get into, get in it with you. Long day. I didn't go to bed. I'm working on a kind of a massive story. That's gonna rock the gun world, I think. So stay tuned.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that now.
Yeah, it's in the early stages, but it's probably a month or two out before it actually breaks. But it's gonna have a whole lot of research that has to be done with it. So been just doing all that. So I've been up all night. But let's get into the thing I really want to talk to you about. Is I'm really into the maker community, and when people say maker, a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and explain to everybody what the maker community is, then we'll get into some of the stuff about it. I think
so. The maker community, I kind of just fell into it. It's the 3D printing world. I fell into it. My 3D printer is actually just kind of right down there. I thought 3D printing was going to be expensive and hard and all that. And I bought my 3D printer for about $300. I since then put some work into it and done some upgrades, but it opens up a whole new world for you. I have some things that I can't show on camera just because we're on a certain platform that doesn't allow that. But
as long as you don't touch it.
As long as I don't touch it, but I got to touch it to get it. That's the problem.
Okay. Right.
But there are there are some other things that you can do with it. For instance, I'm testing with a different product right now.
What,
Um,
what product?
it's the Mantis X10.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle of filming, and I told them that I wanted to play with it for about a month before I dropped any content at all. And I wanted to play with the Mantis on one of my SIG P3 365s. And the 365 has this kind of goofy rail system on it. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And yeah, I have this little thing that I can put on the magazine, but then and I can mount the Mantis on the magazine, and I can do that. But then I was like, I don't like that. And I went out to the internet, and I found somebody has has solved that problem. I mean, yes, you can buy rail systems to convert the 365 over to a thick rail, but I wanted to play with this now. I'm impatient. Yeah, I can order it and I can have it in a couple of days. Found this design, put it through my slicer, which slicer just takes that design so that the way the 3D printer can understand it. And in two hours, I had a 3D printed part. I had some screws here. I put it in. I was playing with the Mantis in just a few hours on my 365. So it's kind of nice that you get that freedom that you're not relying on something. I mean, would I defend my life with this part? No, but for what I needed it to do, it was perfect.
Now, what material do you print in?
I printed that in PETG. Sorry, I was looking at my at the spool on my printer.
That's cool. Yeah, I have a couple 3D printers. I got a couple different things here. I got a Dreamer, which is my latest one. Then I have just a Monoprice Ultimate, and then I have a Ghost Gunner 2 and a Ghost Gunner 3.
Yeah, no, I watch you with the content on those two, and I am jealous every time that you post a picture on those.
Yeah, they're the Ghost Gunner 3 is a huge upgrade. It's worth the extra 1,000. That it's going to be. It's not released yet. It's funny that you mentioned Mantis. I actually have one of the prototype Mantises in my other room there.
Yeah, it's that's a fun that's a really fun product to play with. I'm really enjoying it. For me, I've had a bunch of injuries, and one of them is with my shoulder. And I'm finding out with the Mantis, even though my shots are on target, I'm finding out with the Mantis exactly how much those injuries are costing me in my shooting and my accuracy. So I'm trying to work through those things and try to become a more accurate shooter again. But it's just a great product.
Yeah, I did a wardrobe change really quick. I'm kind of getting a little bit toasty.
You kind of did the Superman thing. You went into the phone booth and came back out.
Yeah. The Mantis is a really cool product that it did help my grouping a lot. All the feedback that it gives you is it's impossible to get by any other means.
Yeah.
Basically a mini computer that's analyzing your shots in the front of your gun.
Yeah. I know, and it's amazing to do that. And then for me, I'm working with my iPad, but I also have the app on my phone as well. So no matter where I'm at, I can pair that, and I can just do dry firing if I want to, or if I'm at the range, which the footage that I'm going to release soon, you'll see side by side my iPad. So you'll see my shots and what was wrong with my shots, and you just can't. I just can't imagine trying to shoot now. Teach someone how to shoot without one of these things, because when you're teaching someone, you're like, that could be thumbing, that could be this. I don't know. That Mantis just tells you.
Yeah, it does. It takes like 1,000 readings a second or something insane like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
but it's something. It is something cool. Okay, you live in Montana.
I do.
You're from the East Coast. How did you end up getting Montana from the East Coast? Unless you're working in oil, usually that doesn't happen.
So I work in the tech industry, and after Y2K, we had the whole .com bomb, and everybody was spending money because it was Y2K. And then, the company I was working for was going out of business. And I was telling my wife, I go, and oddly enough, we were only married for like a year and a half when we moved. I told her, I go, if I got to go find a job, let's go find something fun. And Montana was always a childhood dream of mine. When I was dating my wife, I found out it was a childhood dream of hers. She wanted to be not forest ranger, a park ranger in Glacier, and my childhood dream was to be a park ranger in Yellowstone. So we found a job, out here for me. We moved out, and we're in Helena, which is halfway between both parks. So that's kind of how we ended up out here. Is because I needed to find a new job, and I found one and said, I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You work in cybersecurity, so it's very easy to find. Because I'm kind of in the same field, or was in the same field. I did a lot of encryption for government and cybersecurity and everything for governments, and then moved over to working for the big social media giants, aka Facebook, on security.
When I was on the East Coast, I had some projects down your way in Northern Virginia, and some places that have three-letter acronyms.
Oh yeah, there's tons of that. Northern Virginia for the whole internet is insane. The number of job positions are out here for like network engineers and cybersecurity experts and stuff like that. All right, so if you were in this field, in the computer field, Northern Virginia is probably a place that you might want to look into going. And don't let all the liberals scare you from Northern Virginia.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Is you want them to you want more cybersecurity people that shoot guns to move into New Jersey, so that way you can kind of override all the evil that has happened over the past year.
Well, there's a lot of evil that happened in Virginia over the past year. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So I'd rather them come help me. Then we'll go and help New Jersey after we help.
There you go.
Virginia. Call me selfish. Yeah, my chief editor, Emily has offices in New Jersey. That's where my chief editor is. In Florida.
It's funny when I lived on the East Coast. So I grew up just outside of Philly. We moved to Northern Maryland. Hung out in Delaware for a little bit. But when I was living in Maryland, I went to a GSSF shoot out at Fort Dix in New Jersey. So, I'm living in Maryland, which is, pretty unfriendly state for guns as it is. And I'm going to an even more unfriendly state. And, I took my Glock apart and had zip ties in it and had it in the case and had that in my trunk and my ammo in the back seat. And I go driving down the road and I get pulled over in New Jersey. And I'm like, people are flying by me and I don't understand what's going on. And the officer comes up and he goes, "Do you have any firearms in the car?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do." And after a little bit of negotiation work, I showed him the firearm in the trunk and I go, "Do you mind if I ask, number one, why you pulled me over, and number two, why you asked if I had a firearm?" And he goes, "Well, you have an out-of-state tag and you have a Glock sticker on the back of your car, so it's probable cause for search for a firearm." I'm like,
that's not probable.
It was a BS story.
Yeah. I was like, let me get my lawyer.
Yeah. The fortunate thing was that the whole interaction with the officer was pretty civil. I was firm with him, but not being an ass. And then he got talking, and little did I know that he was shooting the GSSF shoot, and I think he just wanted somebody to talk to.
I gotcha. Well, we got pulled over with a friend of mine who's a FOT going to the machine gun shoot, and every you pulled over, it pulls up that you're a concealed carry permit, and so handed over a concealed carry permit, whatever, and he's like, so what type of guns do you have? We're like, about 20 machine guns, and he started laughing. I'm like, no, we actually have like 20 machine guns. Like, here's what's happening. you know, yeah, we're not joking. We gave him a little story to tell, I guess. The state troopers.
It's funny you say that because living in the East Coast, you just don't see many machine guns or get around them. Living here in Maryland, Montana, it's not that big of a deal out here. I mean, really, our laws are pretty open. As long as you can, as long as you can own a fully automatic suppressed, machine gun, as long as you don't have criminal intent.
Yeah.
And
we're still the same way in Virginia for now.
Yeah. So
for now.
Yeah. But what's really cool is the one range that I go to, that I shoot at, they have it's not range sponsored. It just happened over time that on 4th of July, everybody that has a machine gun goes down to the range and they just kind of shoot their machine guns off on 4th of July just to have fun. So if you ever want to see some really cool weapons, this range is fun in the 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to Knob Creek this year. To machine gun shoot. I've been to with writing for Ammo, and one of the cool things is sometimes I get to go to like really cool places and shoot really cool guns. Last October, I got to go out to Vegas and shoot a bunch of fully auto AKs, and I shot a STG 44 MP44,
Nice.
which is my favorite gun of all time. The sickle hole rate on that is it's slow, but it's cool. It's like instead of that,
So it's more like an M2 than an M16.
Yeah. So it's good. It's kind of fun. And the ammo for that's very expensive, but I didn't have to pay for any of it.
Yeah. You see, that's the greatest thing is when you get to shoot fun stuff and you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I when I was down in Florida shooting down there, I didn't have to pay for that either. So I spent the whole weekend shooting machine guns. Actually, 4 days shooting machine guns for 8 hours a day, 4 days straight, and didn't have to spend a penny.
Yeah.
Well,
A little bit of jealous on this side of the camera.
Yeah. So that's one good thing about writing for MLN is I get to go to like really cool places.
Yeah.
So CloverTech.
I do. I don't know if I say that in public, but no, he's a good guy. Actually, if you think about it, Clover's actually how the two of us met.
Yeah.
When that podcast that the two of us were on the panel, that was actually my first podcast that I was on for anybody.
Oh, really?
So it was kind of, I'll tell you, being on that podcast and having you and Ghost there, I was kind of a little, I mean, you're a little nervous your first time anyway. And then I'm like, I don't belong here.
You definitely do. YouTube is something new to me. The gun world, not so much. YouTube is still kind of new to me, so I'm not.
Yeah. I hang out with Clover on Thursday nights, and it's just one of those things. He has helped me so much as a content producer. It's amazing. He just will help anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a gun tuber or anything. He'll help anybody out, and he enjoys helping people out with it. So, it's great having, content creators like that you can make other contacts with and actually perfect your art.
Yeah, I just gotta throw that out there. I just noticed that our back windows are broken, so we usually all the chats from all the different different locations go into one area on the side of StreamYard. For some reason, it's not happening. Kind of weird.
The technical glitches of live is
Yeah.
always fun.
So I just noticed that I have like clicking through the different areas. I've noticed like I've comments and people have asked me questions. So if I missed your question or whatnot, whether you're on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube, it's not usually it's when it breaks. You still get one source in, but I have, like we have one comment on the side from YouTube and one comment on the side for Facebook. So I'm like, wait a minute, and I posted something to the YouTube, so I just started thinking of like, where's my comment at? So we might miss some comments out there, but just letting you know because I can't really keep up with 10 different locations. But yeah, so if you want to comment, go to probably the YouTube one is going to be the best one for you. Or if you're listening to this in the podcast, which comes out tomorrow, which will be Friday, this makes no sense to you what I'm talking about. But yeah, so let's get into YouTube. How did you get started as a content creator on YouTube?
So I learned a lot on YouTube. There's so much content out there, and it was great. And I was like, okay, I can do this, but I can't see what the guy's saying. And it's like, okay, we're gonna put this part in this gun, and it's just done. I'm like, okay, it was dark, it was out of focus, and you did it too fast. So I was sitting there just thinking one day, and also at the time I was also doing Cerakote work when I had my FFL. It was I'm taking guns apart, and sometimes I just needed to learn how to take another gun apart. And I just went, I think I can do this a little better. And that's kind of how I started. Is I would film my work. I'd work slower, and then I would take pictures because people would have a pile of parts, and they go, okay, I'm gonna put the sear in. You put it in. You're looking at the pile of parts, going, which one's the sear? So I would take a picture of the part. I go, in this step we're going to need this part. Sear. They have a picture of the sear spring, a picture of the sear spring, and things like that. And then I would go through with the assembly process. And we're going to put it in here and do a close-up picture that was well lit. So I just kind of thought that was just a better way of doing it. It takes a lot more time to do it, so I understand why people don't do it that way. But I just wanted to get back to a community that I learned so much about, and plus, I didn't want to take people's guns apart to Cerakote them anymore. And even though I charged them, $50 to do that, I go, here's a video of how to do that. Just go ahead and do that so I can, do this.
Yeah. No, you really can't do that too much anymore on YouTube.
Yeah, you got to be creative on how you do it. If anybody's on my channel, they've noticed that there hasn't been a disassembly and reassembly video for a while. I mean, there was one not too long ago. They didn't flag it because it was I guess because it was a lever gun, but they also didn't fully monetize the video either. So you can do it. It's like I said, you got to be a little more cautious of it. If you do it with lever action, they're good. They're fine with it. But the second I put my AR one up, that got taken down immediately. And then, I challenged it and I said, this is not, because they're like, you're building a gun. I go, no, this is a follow-on video from the disassembly that I need to put it back together. And as soon as I hit the send, denied instantly. So that one was definitely flagged for, I guess, the evil gun. The evil black rifle. The only other one I got taken down, and it got taken down a while later, was oddly enough, the reassembly of a Beretta M9. That one just totally surprised me, especially it was up for months, and suddenly that one got flagged.
Well,
And that was the one that actually made me mad the most.
well, John Gibbon, the video I had with him, the guy that owns Arms Lift, that got, I mean, that showed no guns for what not, and that got taken down by YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I can understand if you're going to take content down. I get it, but the rules got to be the same everywhere. And that's where I think the problem is with that platform is that if they don't they don't even know what their own rules are. And they'll take something down, and like you challenge it, and I don't think you just can't get to somebody, and say, hey, this is wrong. I did not violate the community guidelines on this.
Yeah, that's why sites like Full 30 and Gun Streamer is going to be important, because it's only a matter of time before they kick us off. You're probably going to get kicked off before I am, though. So
I think I'll be safer. The one thing I've decided to do with my channel is I decided that I'm going to play within the lines of YouTube, and trust me, some of my content I push the line pretty hard. But I'm gonna play with, I'm gonna color inside the lines. I'll follow their community guidelines. I respect that it's a private company and all that stuff. But you better believe that you're going to get pointed to my Full 30 channel, or my Gun Streamer channel for the full content.
yeah, my last channel got taken down, but totally killed, and
That's why you're John Crump too.
yeah, it was basically the same thing that we're doing now. But then I decided to do a video where I was going to theorize on the YouTube algorithm and how it works and the math behind it. And apparently, I was a little bit too close. Where they accused me of intellectual property theft.
So they sent the YouTube black helicopters after you?
Yeah, basically. They want to know who gave me the inside information. I'm like, no one. I was like, I just ran a bunch of experiments. And then they're like, oh, your channel's gone.
That's, it's funny and sad at the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's sad that you lost all that work, and you worked so much to build up a channel. It's funny because you got confirmation that you were right.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, well, I didn't know I was right. It was just a theory, but thank you for confirming it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I can understand where they get that, but, there are smart people out in the world. Not every YouTuber is a dumb person, or some, as someone would say, some backwards hick. I mean, there are people out there that will sit there and they'll do experiments like you did.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much. I mean, if you think,
funny that I did all this gun stuff. I was actually doing gun videos too, with shooting guns, taking them apart, doing all that. And none of that got me taken down. It was just when I was like, let me talk about technology and how I theorize the algorithm works.
And yeah, it's funny for a gun thing. We'll get taken down for something completely ungun related.
Yeah. Well, damn. I guess information is dangerous, and that's what that's what the thing. Your channel has been taken down because this video includes dangerous information.
Yeah, dangerous information about their competitive advantage.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like wasn't even a strike. I didn't have any strikes on the channel. You get 3 strikes and they say it was bam.
Well, it's funny you talk about strikes. So I had 2 videos taken down, that AR video, and then later on the M9. I got a community strike for the AR video, but when they took the M9 down, they didn't give me a strike. And I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. That yeah, I mean, I'm happy that you didn't give me a strike for that, um, but that's the most I've ever had was 1 strike, and then for you to go from 0 strikes and then suddenly you're gone.
Yeah.
You know someone got hurt, not physically. They got not mentally hurt, but emotionally hurt by the content you did, and it just happened to have been a YouTube employee.
Yeah, I think it might have. I don't think it was just a regular employee.
Yeah,
Because the people that were calling and emailing weren't regular. They were from Alphabet. They weren't from YouTube. They were from Alphabet.
You knew you had someone's attention then.
Yeah, but it was the parent company. So I had to start over.
That sucks. I mean, I can't imagine trying to start my channel over again. I really can't. It would just be. You get so much work into it that it's just like,
yeah. A year later, I'm not even half the subscribers that I used to have. Like a lot of people just don't know where you went. You
you're just gone one day.
Yeah. So it was. It wasn't cool, but
John got sent to the Alphabet Corp black site and got waterboarded.
Yeah, basically. So I'm not going to do that again. The algorithm has changed since then, anyway. So
yeah,
it's changed that up a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As a content creator, that's one of the hardest things to do is you want to play around to try to figure that algorithm out so that way you get the most amount of views. And
just don't share it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. Is you see some of these channels, they've got it nailed. I mean, they figured it out. They're keeping it quiet.
Yeah, I can tell you there used to be a thing where if the video was 10-minute 1 second, 10-minute 2 second, that it actually weighed heavier on the algorithm. That is no longer the case. It's not actually beneficial. I don't want to say too much, but
yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, you can get your rankings up now. I'll tell you off air, but it's something that I've been running experiments on a different channel that has nothing to do with this on YouTube. I'm not sharing it out there either.
That's your makeup channel, right?
Yeah. No, that's just a throwaway. It's not throwaway. Not going to say too much about that.
No, it's fun. It's fun that you can do that. You can spin a channel up and play with it, and then you just use that. You use that knowledge for good.
Yeah. That's I guess you can call it using it for good.
Well, I'm saying for the good of the community that you're serving.
Yeah. So getting into back to the YouTube stuff. So we found out how you started your channel, and everything. How did you start connecting with the YouTube community? Because this is the one thing that was really confusing to me. Because I had a channel that had like 7,000 subscribers, and I never communicated with anyone, any other gun channels or anything else. And now this one which have like just over 1,000, ever since I've had like 200-300 people, somehow G-Webs found me, and I met everyone else through G-Webs. But my old channel, I never met anyone, never talked to any other YouTube channels.
You know what's funny is I ran into my fellow content creators actually on the Full 30 forum. So and it was kind of nice because I was talking to people on the forum that I would watch their videos for years, and I liked their content and stuff like that. And then I got to interact with them, and then that led me to a couple of other content creators, which led me to Clover. And Clover did a posting about a Facebook group that he ran, and I joined that Facebook group. And it wasn't just for gun content creators, for all content creators. And I read through that and learned some stuff. But and that's kind of how I connected with my other content creators is through that. And then now now that I'm getting on other podcasts and stuff like that, I'll meet some other content creators and serving on panels and stuff, and then I start talking to them. So it was kind of it was almost Forrest Gump like how I ran into my other content creators.
Yeah. Like I said, this time I was just like G Web found me and then introduced me to. He reached out and introduced me to everyone else and other people. It was just weird how like that is that one little domino. No
Yeah,
matter how big you are, it's just just how it happens sometimes.
yeah. It's being in that one right place at the right time with the right person, and they open doors for you. So it's kind of weird. I never thought that I would be talking to other content creators when I created my channel. That was never even a consideration, is to talk to people and collaborate and stuff like that. And I love doing it because it's kind of weird because we're almost in competition with each other, because I'm competing for audience that they're competing for at the same time, but yet we're sitting in the backside talking, and we're sharing ideas and things that work for us and what we've tried that didn't work. And it's nice when you get those other creators that you can talk to.
Yeah, I gotta give G Web's credit and Hank Strange too. Because the first time I was on Hank Strange show, because of my writing and my work with GOA and stuff. I was like, yeah, I used to have a YouTube channel. I told him what happened. He's like, yeah, you should start a new one. So I did.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun when you get that, and they open doors, and they actually make you think in ways that you didn't think before. And I kind of I love doing that. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I consider myself more of a writer and journalist than anything else.
yeah.
Um,
You see, for me, writing is a challenge. Not that getting in front of a video camera is easy for me; it's getting easier. All my early videos, the Rogue Banshee was this. All you'd see is this.
hands, yeah,
Um, all you see is hands, and then eventually I got comfortable with getting in front of the camera. It's still a weird thing for me, but it's getting easier to do now with doing product demos where I'm going to the range and testing stuff. It's becoming comfortable, more and more comfortable, and I'm hoping to be, it get to the second nature part. Um, and then yeah, it just kind of opens things up from there. And um, I started doing some writing for Gear Report, and I I can I can write, but quite frankly, it's just not something that's second nature to me. I can get in front of people and talk. That's not a problem. But if I got to put something down on a keyboard, I'm kind of jealous that people can do that.
yeah. I'm kind of the opposite of of that. I'm a writer first, podcaster second, because I started podcasting in like 2015. It was not on YouTube or anything. It was audio only, and it wasn't a gun podcast either. We talked about guns, but it wasn't. It was a political podcast, basically. Talked about news of the day, uh, with the political spin. How people not like from a libertarian standpoint, um, viewing you from like a libertarian standpoint. It was two libertarians and two conservatives and our producer was liberal, but that didn't last too long because they're off.
Well, it's funny because you're talking about being in technology. And I'm also in the technology field. Um, if people in technology are naturally introverts. Um, I mean, we're the Mongoloids you lock up in the dungeon. We just get the work done, and you keep us away from the customers, and everything's good. And um, it's just kind of I'm starting to break out of that shell. I started doing one of the hardest things I did is I started doing public speaking in my day job, and that has just really opened me up to something new, which that led me into eventually into content creation. It's not easy. It's not easy to do stuff. It's not easy for people to write stuff. It's not easy for people to get in front of cameras. But my biggest thing is one day I just did it. My wife thought I was completely nuts. She also thought I was nuts when I went up and did my first speaking engagement. So it's just you just got to do it, and it just builds from there.
Yeah, I
So
started at rallies. I had
So
like
you-
2 rallies.
you see, that would scare me. I don't know why, but
Oh, no.
a rally would scare me. And I have no idea why. I think it's just because it would be a completely different speaking engagement for me.
Well, I've done public speaking on technology stuff, but here's the thing: when I talk about technology stuff, I'm not. I'm very, very good at technology. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite thing to do, anything like that, but it does come naturally to me. So when I give a talk on technology, something technology based, whether it's encryption or cybersecurity or even routing protocols or anything like that, uh, I go to a place. I don't know if that's the right word to say.
no, I know
But
what you're talking about.
so
Yeah.
it's me giving, like speaking on technology it comes very naturally to me. Speaking on other stuff, it's not. I think in ones and zeros. My wife thinks I'm partly autistic. I don't know.
That's good. My wife thinks I'm nuts. Yeah, I know what you're talking about that whole going to a place. When I first started doing speaking, it was kind of I'm like these people have paid to sit here and listen to me talk, and I got wrapped up into that. And then finally, I guess after my third speaking engagement, it just clicked with me. I'm like, wait, I'm the subject matter expert. I know this stuff. I live this stuff. I breathe it. Um, why am I afraid of this stuff? And I get in front of an audience, and I actually get a little bit of peace at it. And so I know what you're talking about. You get into that place, and no one can touch you because that's there. Your knowledge is kind of your suit of armor.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of starting to get to with content as well. When I first got my first bad comment, I get bent out of shape because I'm like, someone hated it, and then it just kind of I grew. I started building that suit of armor around me, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not going to please everybody. Even in my day job, I'm not going to please everybody, but I'm going to get to the people who want to hear what I have to say. And then, and yeah, when I'm up in front of that audience, I'm at peace.
Yeah. Well, if you tell me go up there right now, you can give an hour speech on IPsec tunneling or MPLS. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
If but like I know guns too. And I know Second
Right.
Amendment stuff. But if you tell me I gotta go give an hour speech on that, I gotta organize my thoughts on that.
I
Weird.
I couldn't get in front of an audience and talk about guns. It would be tough for me as well. But yeah, you want you want to get me up there and talking geek about computer stuff, or if you want me to stand up there and talk about leadership and things I've done in my day job, I have no problems with that. But yeah, if you put me in front of a different audience, there's going to be a lot of uh, yeah, and then we do this, and then it's going to be stressful for that audience because I'm just not that comfortable yet.
Yeah, I just want to send out a reminder to everyone out there. For $25 super chat, you can get a signed book like that. All proceeds go to my niece Bella, or a patch for $5. All proceeds go to my niece Bella. Join the Patreon, $5. All proceeds go to my niece Bella right there. And here, $20 Patreon there. And there's also a GoFundMe link in the description and a link to my book, which all proceeds go to my niece Bella. Just wanted to throw that out there to everyone. We are trying to do everything that we can. John, do you find that writing about a topic helps you become a better speaker? Not really. Honestly, not really. I don't know. I think really, really fast, and I type really, really fast. So I can't even do like the dictation to speech thing. So I type it out because I can type about 3 times faster than I can write. I listen to podcasts at like 200 to 300 times speed, so 2 to 3 times speed, because that's just the way my mind works, I guess. So talking, I think slowing that down is kind of where I run into that wall. Because when I get to a sentence, I'm like, in my brain, I'm like 5 or 6 sentences ahead. So there. How about you?
Me, so when I was a kid, I kind of I just didn't get along with school and stuff like that. It wasn't until a little later in grade school that I had a teacher that figured me out. It wasn't that because I was the D student, the CD student, and all that stuff. That teacher figured me out. My grades went up because he figured out I was bored. And because they're going up there and like I could get the concept, and I was considered learning disabled all through elementary school. He's like, he's not learning disabled, he's just bored. um, I can speak, I think a lot. There's times that I'll stutter, or I'll actually say the same thing over like 3 times. And it's actually become uh, people through talking through people, they're like, your problem is your mind is racing, and you're talking but you're not thinking about what you're saying, so you'll say the same thing over and over again. It's because I've got so many things going through my mind at once. I'm trying to solve 5 problems, and I'm not paying attention to talking. So yeah, my mind will race.
Yeah, the
And when I wake up, it's really weird. When I wake up, whatever time of the morning that is, I'm up because my mind is just going a mile a minute. Sometimes that's 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, my mind never really slows down, which is sometimes not a good thing.
Mine slows down just because of exhaustion.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm up for like 20,
Yeah.
23 hours just because the
Yeah.
longest I was up for like 50 hours, and it was just because I couldn't calm down my mind. I was building something. So I built so what I ended up building, I couldn't sleep. I ended up building an 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 AI basically that data mines and makes predictions, and looks for news, um, based on a Raspberry Pi, and then I built it in a Raspberry Pi, and then I turned it into a touch screen where you could where it would monitor all social media for chatter and build. There might be something happening here. And I'm usually ahead of, and it's usually ahead of the news. I call it Big Brother. Um, I've really talked about it, but yeah, the people who tested it out, it's cool. I haven't. It's right now it's down, but I built it into a touchscreen.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you bring up Raspberry Pi because for those who don't know, there's not a lot of horsepower in a Raspberry Pi. So if you're writing that, your code's going to have to be pretty clean. Um, but and then to put the touchscreen, there's so many things you can do in a Raspberry Pis. I mean, my 3D printer has a Raspberry Pi on it because that's where I actually do my filming. And there's not a lot of 3D content where I do stuff, but I do my time lapses off of that, where it's it programmed the 3D printer to stop, take a picture, and stuff like that. It's amazing what you can do with these little computers now. I mean, those Raspberry Pis are what, 50 or $60. Um, and then the kits for like LCD screens they're not that expensive.
No, you can do
So
the whole thing for under 100.
yeah, and then if you're doing AI off of that, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, building AI to begin with is cool, but off of that, I mean, those little Raspberry Pis are this big.
Yeah,
Um,
it took about 50 hours. My wife and kids were in New York, and at the time, and I had to stay here and work. And so I didn't go up there with them. So uh, I just started programming, and then I called in sick to work. Honestly, so I continued working on it. That's what I did.
hey, so I know this is your podcast, but you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Out of all the interviews, and you just put a book out of all your interviews, what is your favorite?
Oh my man, there's so many
I mean,
different.
I know you have so many great interviews.
I've done several hundred interviews, and I guess one of my favorites would be Colonel Robert Brown, who founded Soldier of Fortune magazine. One of the reasons why is not because some of the stories that he told me weren't really fit for printing. So that was really fun because it just and a lot of them were just him telling stories about he fought in the Rhodesian Civil War and just war stories about you know going. He's like he got kicked out of the He was a Green Beret, got kicked out of the Green Berets, got reinstated back into the Green Berets, and just some of his Vietnam stories as well. And he's getting up there in age, so I mean, just the wealth of knowledge and just his whole attitude. He's one of like the original badasses. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he was a badass in his day. He's still a badass in his day, and hearing him talk about Wayne LaPierre because he tells off Wayne LaPierre to his face all the time. It's just, it's just, he's just a great guy. That would have to be one of my favorite one. And Cody Wilson. Uh,
Yeah,
I know Cody pretty well. Um, and we share a lot of stuff in common when it comes to crypto stuff.
yeah.
So it a lot of the stuff I talked to him about when I first interviewed him didn't make it because it was too far into the weeds, getting down to you know the math.
Kind of like us talking about Raspberry Pis.
Yeah, no, we got down into the actual math.
Oh man.
And talking to him about Satoshi and stuff like that, our theories and stuff, stuff that I really couldn't print in AmmoLand because people would be like, what the hell is this?
I thought we were talking about guns, not
Yeah,
math.
not like math. So that was one of my other favorite ones. But most of the reasons why those two are my favorites, it isn't because of that. And Aaron Dornbush, of another guy, who I've become really close friends with since our interview. He was a member of the unit Delta Force, tier 1 operators.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to him, not about like military stuff, just about life. He has a really good outlook on life, and he's a really humble guy. Not only that, a lot of people who are like Delta Force operators, which is like, I don't know, you go to special forces or other because Delta Force is just not Army. You can go for any special forces, Air Force, even Coast Guard. Special forces. I don't know. Coast Guards have special forces. Apparently, they do. But you can go into Delta Force from there. So these guys are like the best of the best of the best. And he's just a really humble guy. And just talking to him about life and the philosophy that everyone does their part. It doesn't matter. He's like, what I did in Delta. He doesn't call it Delta. He's like, what I did in the unit is no better than the guy who works at a grocery store. And I'm like, you don't actually believe that, do you? But he does.
See, that's the cool thing about your interviews. It's great to see those interviews come out and stuff like that. But those backstories are so cool that we don't get to see the actual person behind them, and that's why I like to ask that question, because you've met so many people and talked to so many people. I just always have wondered that. And you've got basically everything you said was these guys are the full package.
Yeah, it's just when the interviews, when they do it for MLM, they have to be so focused on certain things that if sometimes the conversations I have with these people, it's like usually the interview with MLM is like 10 questions. So that part takes like 10, 15 minutes. But some of it, like with like Aaron or Jason David Frank, who was a Power Ranger, those conversations took hours and they turned into like actual friendships. Stephen Willifer, the hero of Sutherland Springs, the guy that stopped the church shooting in Southern Spring, Texas. He's like the most humble guy there is, and he ran outside and confronted a guy in body armor with an AR-15 with his AR-15 and only 7 bullets. And he's like, I didn't do anything special. It's like, yeah, you did. So just talking to some people, you can tell. You can tell when people are saying, "Oh, I didn't do anything special," and they're like, "But I actually did." And then there's other people who said, I didn't do anything special, and they actually believe that they didn't do anything special. That's why I throw like Steven or Aaron in there as well. And just some of the people that there are some people that I ask questions of, and you get answers, and they kind of throw you off. For example, I was interviewing somebody one time. It was a woman. Her name was Beth. Oh my God, I can't remember. I feel so bad. My mind is totally locked up. But Beth, I asked, hey, how'd you get into guns? Innocent question, right? And her answer was because Beth Bauman. And her answer was because I was sexually assaulted. And that's like, when people say something like that, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
down that rabbit hole.
There's a landmine I just stepped on. Do I take my foot off?
But it's people like that will actually speak up and tell and say the truth, or Genevieve, who is married to John Patton from the Gun Collective. She's very open about her anxiety, and I'm very open about my anxiety. So that's another good interview there that I've done, or like Maj Toure and stuff like that. Another one of my favorites, Michael Fedini, Walk the Talk America, who basically gave up Eagle Importers, which was the importer of like Bertha and Rossi and a bunch of these big name guns, high power and stuff like that. And he gave that all up because he wants to concentrate on helping people to actually meet these people. I get a lot out of it, and one of the reasons why I do it. I get a lot more out of it than I think the readers do. Don't so I kind of do it from selfish reasons because I like to learn what makes these people think and how they think, and get to know them, and just get to know their character. And I think it gives me a good insight on people. So I'm
Cool.
kind of selfish.
Well, it's not really selfish. I mean, is it really selfish to get to know someone? I mean, yes, you know, it was a little selfish for me to ask the question just because that's something I've always wanted to ask, you.
Well,
Um, but
it,
it's a great story on the backside of it.
yeah, it's selfish that I'm doing it as much for me. I'm not saying selfish in a bad way. I'm just saying I do it
Yeah,
as
no,
much for me as the readers. And by talking to I've talked to hundreds of people, and it's more like one of my specialties. It was just it was really funny. My editor back in like 2013 said, "Hey, can you do an interview?" And I was like, "I've never interviewed anyone." So okay, and now it's like one of the things that I do multiple times a month because that's one of my jobs is to interview people for Amaland, and I have a interview show.
yeah,
So who knew, right? That I was gonna enjoy it so much. All right, well, we are at the top of the hour, so I want to thank you for coming on. We had a last minute cancellation. Mark Robinson will be on the another guy that I've been getting to know. By he's going to have an interview. You know, Mark Robinson is.
I do.
He's running for Senate in North Carolina. You definitely have to check him out. He's a very good guy, very pro gun. He was the African American gentleman that gave a very impassioned speech. He will be on the 25th of this month. So we just next week's just not going to work out. The only day he had free was on the 19th, and that's my wife's birthday, her actual birthday. So, but one thing I do want to say about interviews: sometimes you get people that are the nicest people in the world, on camera, and behind the scenes, they're just absolute dirtbags. Even in our community, where there's absolute
Yeah,
dirtbags behind the scenes, but they
I,
play nice guys.
I tell you, that was one of the weirdest things when I started talking to my fellow content creators, is to start hearing these stories, and you're just like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, like I did not get that out of them from their online persona.
That,
So it's kind of interesting that that does. I mean,
I'm
it's
pretty good
not.
at picking it up now.
Yeah. So it's not like it's beyond the realm of possibilities. You just don't think about that.
Yeah. Uh, for example, well, I'm not going to give an example, but
I
one
think
story I do want to tell. There were I shot show a couple of years. I met a few people. One of the people I met there who um I that wanted to do an interview with me for AMLand, and I did an interview with them, but he was just an absolute dirtbag to everyone around him that I scrapped the interview. I was like, "It's not gonna run." I don't know. But I did meet one of the people there. I I was at a party, and I saw Tim Kennedy. I know some people don't like Tim Kennedy because of what he said on the Lance Armstrong podcast, but I went up to him and said, "Hey, would you mind doing an interview?" He said, "Absolutely." He's like, "Okay, do you have the email so I can email you people?" He's like, "Just call me." And he was with Andre Arlovsky, and he's like, "Hey." And so I was like, "All right, thank you." He's like, "Oh, where you guys going?" I was with my wife. I was like, we're just gonna go walk around." He's like, "Oh, come hang out." So I ended up hanging out with him and Andre Arlovsky, my wife. It was pretty cool. And the next day, I texted him, and I kept in contact with him for a while. Uh, good guy. But like I said, we're at the top of the hour. I could talk about interviewing people all day because it's like one of my passions. But I'm gonna let you get out of here. Anything you want to plug? Your channel, your actually website's in the description if anybody wants to check it out. But go ahead and plug everything.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It was kind of great. When I saw that call out today that you had an opening. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that'd be fun to sit there and talk to John. So I really appreciate it. You get me on. It's been a lot of fun for me. For my website, like John said, it's in the description. It's www.trb.fyi, or my YouTube channel is The Rogue Banshee. Pretty much, if you go to Google and type The Rogue Banshee, you're going to hit either my website, my YouTube channel, my Full 30 channel, Gunstreamer, and I'm on all those platforms. So if I disappear from YouTube, you can go to another platform and find me.
Yep, and your website's actually on the screen. Are you serious? Now it's starting to work.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's the end, right?
What the hell? Oh my god. It's just one of those. That message is starting to come in. Thank you, StreamYard, for all you guys are awesome. Well, I don't know if StreamYard. It could be Restream as well, or YouTube. Well, no, it can't be YouTube because it's either StreamYard or Restream, one of the two. And I do looking at the StreamYard chat. It looks like nothing came through in the StreamYard. So it will not StreamYard, the Restream. So sorry, StreamYard. It was Restream.io that was having the issue. But it's neither here nor there. Thank you for coming on. I just want to
Thanks
give
for having me.
my plugs, and I'm going to give you the final word in 1 second. You can always join the conversation at youtube.com/John Crump. Oh, my website's now up where you can also get the audio podcast and everything else. You can use it more often as a portfolio site because I've had it for like since 99. I just haven't really done much with it. But podcast.crumpy.com. I just use it for redirect links. I used to, where you can find all my stuff at now. But yeah, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump, or subscribestar.com/John Crump. PayPal, paypal.me/JohnCC. Remember, everything goes to Minis Bella. I don't keep any of the money. Don't really need it. So I don't keep it. I just pass it on to Bella. Super chats are active. $25 gets you a signed book, or $5 will get you this really cool patch. $5 on the Patreon also gets you a cool patch, and $20 will get you a signed book. Yeah, and that's it. You can buy my book at, I just said that's it, and I keep on going. You can buy my book at crumpy.com/giant. It will redirect you to the ammo land, not the ammo land, the Amazon. You can also check out my writing at Ammo Land. Crumpy.com, GFM, is a GoFundMe. And remember, you can join GOA I'm affiliated with GOA. I am the state director for Virginia for GOA, and you can join GOA for 25% off at gunowners.org/black-swan-media. And one thing I will be doing at the end of the month is be giving one of my Patreons a free year membership to GOA. So that's a cool thing there, I guess. And that is it for me. I'm going to give you the final word. So, the Rogue Banshee himself. Jason, final word.
There's a lot of weirdness going on out there. There's people are just trying to pit each other against each other. Just realize that we're all humans. We're all Americans. It doesn't matter who you are, what color your skin is. Just treat everybody with respect, and all this stuff will just go away. Let's be nice to each other, regardless of what our opinions are. I may not agree with you. You may not agree with me, but let's just respect each other, and we'll all get through it.
You must have watched the last episode when I had
actually, I did not.
It's a good discussion. Spirited in certain aspects, but there was a lot of there was a lot of common ground there that I think we miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the whole thing, is that things get lost in translation. Just everybody just needs to kind of step back and and let's just treat each other with respect.
And the Full 30 guys, I'm going to start uploading on Full 30. And also, God damn it, a gun streamer, which actually sponsored my show last week. So Full 30 guys, you might want to hit me up, sponsor the show. Like 4 shows. Content. I'm just joking. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jason, so much for coming on. And
glad to be here.
Hang out for 1 second. I'm going to tell you what the new thing is with YouTube.
Sure.